Hi, Lady V.
Hi,
We are on.
we are on.
Yes.
I don't see you.
Okay, here I go.
There you go.
Here I go. Yes, indeed.
Well, welcome everybody to our broadcast. We want to welcome our Caribbean jammers. It's Lady V and Dr. Eon, and I think Dr. Bennett is on her way on the show. So we are talking about bridging the gap today. Last week we talked about the Kurt Franklin story with his son Carry On, and we thought
Yes.
that this would be a great time to talk about how do you bridge the gap? How do we bridge the gap with our young adult children? Because a lot of times, I think where is it's a little easier when you're a parent of younger children and you're trying to teach them and guide them versus when they're older
Mm.
and you have to transition from guidance to now building a relationship. How do we do that? It's kind of hard. It's kind of like you have to kind of turn it off and now go into relationship mode. But sometimes it's hard because you're still a parent.
Yeah.
You still want to tell them what to do. You still want. Sometimes you want to put them in timeout. Sometimes you want to make
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
mistaken. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we help them understand that no, you're not a child anymore, but now how do we make that transition? You have adult.
Great, great, great. Well, first of all, I want to say grace and peace be multiplied to you from God our Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ. This is Kingdom Empowerment International because we deal with an international audience. And I want to, first of all, thank God for all of you who are joining, all the jammers everywhere you join in from on this platform, those connected and partners that are connected to this platform. We want to also thank God for our host, who is Pastor Tito Paul. I am the co-host, Dr. Eon, along with Lady V and Dr. Yvonne Bennett. We are having an awesome subject matter this afternoon, and I tell you, it's one of the biggest gaps we have in the world, and that is the generational gap and people gap, pretty much. And we are definitely going to be talking about that this afternoon. And I know you ask a question, and if you can rephrase that question, mommy is in the house, Dr. Bennett is in the house, and we have a lot of wisdom sitting in the chair.
Yes.
And if we have wisdom, we just don't try to go around wisdom, we go to wisdom. The Bible says, if you lack wisdom, ask of those who have it. And in this case, God has wisdom, but then he has given wisdom to those like Dr. Bennett to give us some instructions as it relates to that particular subject matter on bridging the generational gap. Dr. Bennett.
On breaking the generational gap. Well, first of all, I welcome. Thank you for having me on the show, Dr. Leon. It's always good to see you, and we're praying God's peace for Dr. Tito Paul and Lady V. It's so good to see
Yes.
you. So, well, it's not easy. It's not easy to bridge the gap. It's not easy. We have to be all things to all people.
My goodness.
Let's start talking about bridging the gap. We want to make sure that we don't put a gap in the gap.
That's it.
That's so easily done. We can become so standoffish until we put up a wall.
Mm.
Do you know who I am? I'm the adult. Well, when we place things in our children, we expect to see some of that we put in them.
My goodness.
Whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. But we want to always listen. We want to be that's how you bridge the gap. You have to be able to listen. You can't be so headstrong that because you are the adult and that you know it all. Because listen, I don't know about anybody else, but I learned from the youngest. I really do. I learned from young people things that come out of some of the young people's mouths, it will knock you for a loop because you realize, I didn't know that. Wow. So bridging the gap, you have to be careful that you don't put a gap in the gap.
My goodness.
Because people, young people especially, as they get older, they do look to us for
Yes.
answers, but we don't want to be so headstrong that they can't come.
Yes, yes.
You want to keep it. The older you get, the wiser you should get. You keep an open mind because you have to understand that this generation, they don't think like we do. So it's not coming down to their level. So it's causing them to be able to come up.
Yes.
In areas where they need to come up, but they will never come up if we bash, if we push, if we criticize, if we kick them to the curb, if we talk about their mistakes. When you're bridging the gap, and not keep hounding these young people about mistakes. And, if you had turned out to be like this, if you hadn't done that, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But you want to bridge that gap, you got to do it in love.
So, Doc, you are telling us that our communication skills have to increase. We have to learn and unlearn at the same time. Exactly. Because what you just said there is so important, because so many parents have literally built a wall behind the wall or in front of the wall. And instead of getting through, instead of fixing the matter, we don't demolish it. We keep building on the same matter, and you can't get a healing if there's a wound under the bandage, And lots of times we cover the wound because we don't want to communicate. We don't want to talk to our children because we feel we are this, like you said, this adult person that know it all, when we don't realize that they know some things that we don't know. That's why it's very important that we have open communication. Lady V, talk to us a little.
I think that a lot of it too, as Dr. Bennett said, it's respect. I think that a lot of times we don't realize that they're watching us. Right. And if they're watching us, we should be their role models. It shouldn't be the people that's on the television, on BET, on social media, the basketball players. It should be where they're setting an example and we're looking at them and they're looking at us and they want to be like us. Like just like my mom. I've watched my mom all throughout my life. Now, we have similar personalities. Some people say we're just alike. We have a lot of things in common, but I've watched my mom. So there's a lot of things in my life. I tell people, if you would really want to know how I am, go spend some time around my mother and my father, because you are normally a product of your parents. You can't get around it. Okay, good, bad, and indifferent. If you cuss and you fuss and you scream, 9 out of 10, your children are going to cuss and fuss and scream.
That's it.
But growing up, I watched how my mom talked to people. I watched how she handled people. I watched how she helped people. So I wanted to be like her when I grew up. I thought she was super cool. My friends thought she was cool. So I was like, okay, well, this is so. A lot of times when people say, well, you're like this and you're like that. Well, I'm a product of my environment. I'm sorry. I wasn't allowed to talk to people any kind of way and treat people any kind of way. And I think that that's the bigger thing. When we talk about bridging the gap, it's about respect. And
I love that.
I don't want you to, and this is really big in the workforce, because working with young people can be a little tricky.
Oh my goodness.
They are coming from somebody else's home. They're not your children. They're coming from somebody else's home, and they can be a little challenging when they come on the job. So stuff that you put into your children is not, but that's somebody else's child. And they say some things and they challenge you, and you have to remember that is not your seed. So what you say to them is going to really, really make a difference in
Difference.
how they are going to respect you. And if I talk to them any kind of way
Yes.
and I don't
Yes.
respect them, that's normally what I'm going to get back. If I give them attitude, you think about it when you go in the store and you see a young person working in the store, and they may have an attitude.
Hello. I
Sometimes
had one
they
yesterday.
speak, sometimes they don't speak. Sometimes they roll their eyes. They're on their cell phone. They're doing the most. But you still have to remain in character. You can
Yes.
excuse me. I've seen Dr. Bennett do it. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
You know me. Sometimes I ain't there yet. I'm
You
like,
may just flip
listen,
out. I know.
your cell phone. But I've seen her do it, and I so appreciate. She'll go, "Excuse me, can I get some help over here?"
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
takes some growth because
It's
sometimes
the
they'll say,
approach.
"Do you not see me standing here?"
It's the approach. Communication is not just talking, it's action
Yes,
too. Because you can
exactly.
communicate with body language. I had a situation just yesterday with a young girl. I think she might have been a young, small 18 or a little over that. But I said what I wanted, and she did something totally different. And then she went to the other guy, and I looked at her. I said, "It's okay. All you can do is change that and put this one, and we'll be fine." I shut it down because they are looking for a reaction because they are accustomed to having
Yes.
someone hit them back with the same attitude that they bring. Children live what they learn. Whatever you show a child, that child will believe and they will trust and they will make that law. And when that thing become a law in your house, they will turn right back to you and say, "Ma, Pop, you did that.
Yeah.
I saw you like this and I saw you like that. And so I'm doing what I have seen." But at the same time, we have to be careful. And you just said it, to respect where they are. One of the things my young 18-year-old would say to me, "Dad, what I need from the adult is understanding."
Mm-hmm.
Just understand, because they're trying to communicate at their level.
Yeah.
And they have a lot going on in their head, but they know they're not adults. But yet they want to think like adults being a child. And so you have this two world going on in their head at the same time. The Bible says when Jesus was leaving the earth, and we're not using scripture only, but we use a natural thing. But in this case, Jesus was leaving the world. He was going back to his Father, and he met his disciples at this mount. And he said to them, "Go into all the worlds." All the worlds. He said, "You have one gospel to preach, many worlds to impact." So they have a world they live in. The young people live in a world that we need to know how to get into that world by getting into their head. And that comes through proper, and strategies got to change. Communication styles have to change. If you used to shout at them, I learned something. My shouting took me nowhere. I was losing while I was shouting.
Yeah.
And they tuned me out and turned me off, and I can talk all I want to talk. They weren't listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Until one day they say, "You were shouting too much. That's why we couldn't hear."
But in addition to
Go ahead.
to respect, and I do know that is really the key. Like Lady V said, respect. We have to make sure that our expectations is not too high. You should not expect a child 18, 19 years old to know what you know.
Nice.
To be able to express the way you express.
Yeah.
Like you said, Dr. Ian, you have to come down to their level so that you can understand where they're coming from. They may not use all the correct terminology.
Right.
But if you're wise, you'll be able to read into it and come up with a great solution without slam dunking them. And
my goodness,
it's always to young people. I make that expression. I listen to them and I say, I always I've learned this, and especially as a counselor and a therapist, you always target in on the good of a person. What they said first.
Start there.
Point. You don't have to say it's true if it's not true. What a point.
Yes.
And and I'm going to add on to what you said. Because that
Mm.
listen,
Yes.
and then you have an opportunity for them to hear you, because it's not like, now that don't make sense. As soon as you say that, you've lost them. Lost them.
Yes. Yes.
As soon as you
Yes.
say to a young person, you're not making no sense. And
Right.
that's when you've lost them. But you have
Mm.
to let them know, I heard you. Let them know,
Wow.
I heard what you said.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to add on to that. And then you have an opportunity to open up their ear so they can hear
Yes.
what you're
Yes.
saying. And
Yes.
now you've sown a seed.
Mm.
And they can, most of the time they say to themselves, I have a new client coming up on Saturday, 15 years old. I already know my approach to this young man.
Mm.
You have to make sure that you don't slam dunk them so they can come to the conclusion, because I've had them say to me, you know what? That makes sense. You know what I said didn't even make sense.
They come to realize
They
what
come
they're right. You give them a chance.
You know,
Yeah.
you really, boy, the way you put that, what I said didn't make sense. And my comeback is always, no. Don't say that. Because what you said, you shedded some light. And what I did, I put some icing on top of the light.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what's so amazing?
Says, agree with thine adversary quickly.
And I'm going to say that is so true, because even there's, someone asked me, I don't know, some people know that Dr. Bennett is my mom and some people don't because she looks so young. But when we started our talk show, people were like, well, how do you do a show with your mom? Y'all, and y'all don't argue and I said, because this is our relationship every day. When she has a respect for me and I have a respect for her, and and the respect is there. So a lot of times we may come from a different perspective because we're two different generations, but there's no right and wrong in it. It's just how you say it. There's times where I may say something and she'll add on to it and she'll go, well, I didn't think about it that way, but she'll add something to it, but it's the respect that she has. And she does that with my brother and my sister. She doesn't make you feel, because when you make young people feel like they don't know anything, this is where you
lost them.
You lost them. When you make them feel like their comments are dumb or their questions are stupid, and they don't know anything, then they're not going to want to talk to you. No. So a lot of times when they say things to us, even though it may come off rude, it may come off low off, there's certain words that you can say that still doesn't
to diffuse it
and validate them as a person, but at the same time you can correct them in love if you say it the right way.
Very, very, very true.
They're not very true. Like something Dr. Bennett said, you can't expect an 18-year-old to talk like you. We've been around for a minute. There's a lot of things that we've seen, we know, but when we are talking to them, when we validate, what? I validate what you say. I respect your opinions. I expect, and I think that the other thing is when you go off on them, when you have no patience and you short tempered, you really lose them. Oh, you dumb. You get on my nerve. When you say, especially to I'm going to say this, especially to your sons. When I have 3 sons, and I'm very careful in how I say things to them, because I don't want them to get with somebody that's going to tell them off, cuss them out, treat them any kind of way. So I don't treat them like that. You got to be careful how you say things to your
because it becomes an accepted behavior.
Exactly.
They will embrace that as norm. Yeah. Wow.
And they'll tend to bring some girl in their life. Kind of I don't know that movie Medea, where the girl was constantly Byron, and you're like, "Who? What
is this?"
And that's how they are. And you're like,
You inherit what you produce, huh?
Exactly.
You put that in the atmosphere,
And I'm gonna tell you, when my brother, I love my sister. You know, I don't call her my sister-in-law. She's my sister, but her words are very sweet. You know,
Mm,
because I wouldn't want her to talk to my brother any kind of way. I don't want
mhm.
some young lady talking to my son anyway. So we are the influence on that, though. If the way
Mhm.
if she sees my mom talking to her son, that's going to be how she's going to talk to her husband. Well, it's the same thing. I don't want anybody talking to my son any kind of way, so I don't want to talk to my son any kind of way. That's how you
You
bridge
know
the gap.
that yeah, that's a great way. And the thing about it, we have to be careful not to be dismissing their
Yeah,
questions. Let them know that no question is wrong. The only question that is wrong is the one you didn't ask.
That's right.
exactly.
And once you ask that question, then there's an answer. You see, no question is stupid because a question unlocks an answer. They're actually looking for an answer. That's why they ask you the question. And
Mm.
they think, as a parent, because you've been around a long time, you should by now have an answer to this. Even though you're the parent, you don't have a clue about what they're saying, but you got to fake it. And I think that happens. You get into your child's world by spending more time with that
Yeah.
child and giving them space and let them know, listen, this is your time. No
Mhm.
cell phones, no nothing. I just want to give this time to you, just you and I,
Yeah.
and we go out and you would hear more from them when they are more relaxed with you.
Yeah.
Some of them just hold it because they know if they say this, my mom is just going to go off on me. My dad is going
Mm.
to say something. And then they never get their chance to say what they are supposed to say. So never derail them. Don't derail them. Don't deny them an opportunity. And also, you got to show some kind of, to me, when you are dealing with the generation gap, you got to be sincere with them. Don't be a fake and don't pretend. That's very, very important. So most parents, they pretend, and their children, after a while, get a chance to see how pretensive they are, and they just shut down altogether.
Or they'll call
But
you out on it. They'll call you
oh,
out on it. When you're not real with
Yeah.
them, this generation, they will call you out on it. See, it
Yeah.
used to be where they didn't say anything. Now this millennium generation, they're
oh,
going
yeah,
to call you out on it because they want you to be real with them. They want to not lie to them. And a lot of times again, they'll tell you, well, you telling me what to do, but you do XYZ.
right. The scripture talks about that. It said, parents, do not provoke.
Yeah. Don't forget
Provoke your children to wrath.
that.
And that word provocation is literally double standard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say to a child, I don't want to see you drinking and you got two bottles over there and you got two cigarettes on the side and you smoking, that you better don't
Yeah.
smoke. That's
Yeah.
that's that's that's
Yeah.
literally irritating, and it's what we call provocation.
But you know, we say do as I say and not as I
Exactly.
do.
It doesn't work.
Do so I can go and I can smoke, I can smoke weed, I can drink, but you better not do it. You know, that doesn't make sense. It's like
It
you're
doesn't.
trying to get them to not do something and you're doing it.
That's provocation to the highest. But Dr. Bennett, could you imagine? I'm not gonna say anything, Dr. Bennett. Just go right ahead. Because you made me I was tickled by something. Go ahead, Dr.
Yeah.
Bennett.
Yeah. Children, like Lady V said, when you have double standards, children today will call you out on it,
Yeah.
and they do it on purpose because they want to always seem like they're right because they've already and their friends. Because sometimes friends would say, "Oh, your mom, your dad is just so great," and they go on and on. And that child is saying, "Okay, you don't live with them. You don't live with them. You wait. You'll see the real you."
The real you is coming in a minute.
Yeah. So it pays to be real.
Yeah.
It pays to be upfront. So you're not
And sincere,
called out.
yeah.
Because you will be called out. If you're not a sincere person, it will show up every time because you're going, after a while, the natural you is going to come out.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
heat of the night, it's going to come out. Trust me. Because the enemy's going to make sure that it comes out. You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
make-
show this part of you someday, somehow. But many parents, they don't show good gestures to their children, such
Right.
as a little hug, just a little play time where you kind of show them that, listen, I'm human too,
Yeah.
and I have problems. I have problems, but I'm trying my best to hold it together. But I got my own problems, and I think children feel better when you are able to let them know that you're vulnerable too.
Right.
I
And
think
you
You know,
have
and,
fun
and
too.
you're not super. You're not super. You're
Right.
vulnerable. Yeah.
Right. And you should have fun with your children.
Yes.
Even as adults, it's all right to joke and kid around in
Yeah.
a clean way and,
Yeah.
in a cute
Yeah.
way. I mean, especially when you have daughters. When you have daughters, you want, you compare makeup, you compare, you compliment on the nails and how they dress. But there are so many parents, and I have to say this, and for people that's listening, it's so many parents that are jealous and envious of their
Oh,
daughters. Very envious. And
Dr. Bennett, I want to ask you this question. What in the world is that? I mean, how could a parent be jealous of their son and daughter?
well,
How is that?
I'll tell you, what mothers sometimes get very envious of their adult daughters because, especially if they're getting older and they see
Mhm.
the adult daughter younger and dressing a certain way and so forth.
Mhm.
If you didn't have a good life back there when you were in your 20s and you were teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you are not going to have a good life at 70.
that's
If
right.
you didn't appreciate the way you looked, so it's no reason.
Woo,
I mean,
Lord.
listen, my daughters, they're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Yvonne is gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She keeps herself up. Danielle is gorgeous, but there's no envy because I have always kept myself up and I still keep myself up, but I don't expect to look at 75 like I'm 31 or 56. No way. But I like the way I look. But parents, sometimes mothers are very jealous of their daughters. Well, and another point, mothers can get jealous of their daughters when their daughters are very close to their dads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And girls can get very close to their dads. So mothers sometimes get very jealous because they feel that, all of that belongs to me. But that child belongs to that father also.
As well, yes.
Learn how to bridge that gap.
Yes, yes.
And not feel some kind of way. I mean, look, let's be real. All you didn't get out of this man, he's 70-something years old, and you 70-something years old, you ain't gonna get but so much now. Okay? Let's be real. It is what it is. So if the father is close to that dad, you just keep that love going, okay? And maintain what you have and not look at a certain point in your life for increase. You maintain so that you can share that dad with that daughter or that son.
But I think that also when you're bridging the gap and outside of parenting, when you look at even in role models, like I look at Cicely Tyson, I watched her from a little girl, a little girl. I remember when they made her look old and she was young, and I always admired her because of her. You never heard you never heard anything bad about her. You always heard good things about her.
Yeah.
You always heard good things about Maya Angelou. The women of older, that have gone on, you saw them live their life and they lived it so
dignity
with dignity. So you wanted to be like them when you grew up because they had such wisdom. You wanted to sit around and talk to the older women because they knew so much. But now it's such a competition.
My goodness.
Older. It's like we are afraid. We can still look young, but we should not be afraid to become wise. That's the difference. You see these older men, and I'm just gonna say it. When I see an older man and he walking around and his pants are sagging and he got the snap back and is to the back and he's like one of the kids out there, I'm like, what's going on? because you're too old to look.
That's not fitting in at all.
You're not sitting. And when you look at women who are in their 50s, we should know how to dress. We should know how to talk. We should know how to carry ourselves.
Yeah.
We should be setting the example for the younger generation, and there is no competition. When I hear people say, "Oh, so and so is afraid to get older because the younger ones are coming in and taking over the music industry," look, it doesn't matter, because we are, like Dr. Bennett said, we are going to get older. I can't be like I was when I was in my 20s. I can't be like I was in my 30s. Truth of the matter is, I'm in my 50s, going in my 60s. So I have to be true to my own self. And I think that's the bigger problem. It's like the thought of aging kind of interferes with that bridging that gap, because we're so busy still trying to be like them. No, they should be wanting to be like us.
That's it.
And we should be using wisdom, and they should be wanting to get wisdom from us. We shouldn't be on TV like they do. We all be doing all that, but they can't learn from us because we're still trying to be cool like that. We're still trying to be thugs like that. No, we're cool. We're somebody's mother, grandmother, and great grandmother,
and grandfather and father. Come on.
We should be not getting on social media acting like the children.
No, we should. We don't get us wrong now. We don't mind you complimenting us and said, "Dr. Yarn, you look good." I thank you, but I'm not competing with my son. I'm not competing with my son because I'm not at that age. And we have to be real to ourselves, because we're supposed to be the ones now mentoring the next generation. Mentoring, not tormenting, but mentoring. And lots of times what happened, and I said this on the program one time with Kim Jacobs, and she was like, "What?" I said, there are people in this life who are mentors and tormentors. Some parents are just tormentors.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
They're not mentors. They torment the children. And so the children just don't want to be around them.
Right. And that's
when you should be instilling in them values for the next life, for the next season of their life, training them from being childhood, which is just babyhood, which is just sightseeing, and you move from sightseeing to this other area where you finding yourself, I'm a boy or a girl, and then you go to this adolescence when you begin to smell like a goat. You tell them all kinds of stuff, and you get them into adulthood, because when they get to adulthood, they can't be a playboy and a playgirl, because they will still be in their mind that everything is a toy. Yeah. And so children, if they don't get that grooming, then everything to them is a toy. And so parents have to be careful that they're not losing their children by just pushing them to become so adult at such an early age. I want you to get to 18 so you can get out. So all they have in their head is 18, out.
Yeah, out. Yeah.
And they will do anything to get out, because that's why they push for 18. But we have to be mentors at this time, Dr. Bennett.
And it's so true, Dr. Ian. There are there are definitely people that will come to torment you, and they do it in such a sly, slick way. Someone came to me once and said, "Oh, you're trying to dress like the teenagers." I said, "No." I said, the teenagers always come to ask if they can come and raid my closet.
That means Dr. Bennett got swag.
Yeah, it's
just all it is. You're a woman of class.
And one young lady made me feel so good, because she was going to her 8th grade. I think she graduated from the 8th or 9th grade dance or whatever they do in school. And she came to me and she said, "Dr. Bennett, that outfit that you wore on that Sunday, I would like to know if I could borrow that outfit for my
goodness."
And she looked so tasteful in it. And there were people saying, "There is no way she's going to get into that." I said, "Watch it. She will." And she did. She looked absolutely gorgeous. But people respect you for how you carry yourself.
That's it.
I'm not trying to dress like the teenagers. I just happen to be a stylish person all my life.
Yep.
I mean, I am the way I am now, the same way I was. And I guess when I was 20, I must have looked like an older woman because I dressed the same way. I've always been a stylish person. So, and I create my own styles. I don't
Style ahead of the game.
I create my own
Yes.
styles. My clothes never go out of style because I create my own styles.
That's right.
You should not be envious of anyone, and especially your children. What you put in them, I promise you, you will see again.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. They feel a little better when you can make them feel relaxed. You know, date your daughters, date your sons, date whatever. You know, like I think Lady V said something like that one time we were on a show when she was talking about, you know, talking to her son in a certain way, like if she's the girl and he's the guy trying to. I don't know if it was you or on another show, but that's another way of kind of giving them that space, not only the space, but giving them a place in your life. You
Yeah.
know, that they can come to you at any given time. That
Yeah.
what you think about this particular thing. You know, my boys still come and ask me questions. As big as they are, they still ask questions because I show them good time, good love. You know, that it's okay to come and talk to me, and then I will give them some of the guy talk. Hello. And so they'll be like, Dad, you got to be quiet now. I don't want to, you know, they feel shy because dad is talking like that. But, you know, I'm trying to be soft with them, cool with them so that we can have a conversation. But then after a while, they will say, and if they're friends, and I think I heard you say this lady, if their friends say, your dad swagging or your dad is cool, they're like, ooh, not my fat, ooh, you know, it's like, no, don't say that about my dad.
But it's so cool
It's cool.
when you can relate to your parent and
Yeah,
your parent can relate
I'm telling you.
your friends. I can't ever think of a time where I brought my friends over, even as an adult. I can recall, you know, my mom, especially, coming to visit me when I lived in other countries, and the young people just wanting to be around her because they just respected her wisdom, and even
Mm,
back then, you know. So it should be where, especially as Christians. Now let's throw the Christian part in there. People should
mm,
gravitate to us. They should want to talk to us. We are the
right.
people with the answers. We're the ones that should be setting the example. They should not want to go outside and talk to someone else. They should want to talk to us. But
Mm,
we have to. It's a way where you can be cool, classy, wise, all of those things, and still be a Christian. You know,
and still be
you don't
stern.
have to use amen, amen, hallelujah, let's pray all the time. No, we should be able to talk to people and
Without using Christian languages
yeah,
and
and we should
Christian
be
slurs and
able
terms. Yeah.
to relate to us because we do know the way we do, but they should want to come to us. They should want to sit down and pick that. Like, I look forward to calling mom. I call my mom every morning. I do.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
done. I call her every morning. If I don't call her, she don't call me. But some people don't even want
Yeah.
to talk to their parent. They're like, you talk
Oh
to
my goodness.
every day, every day, sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times
Mm,
a day. Because
mm,
sometimes we'll talk late at night, sometimes we'll talk early in the morning. But that's cool when you want to talk to your parent. You know,
my goodness.
that means that your parent has built a relationship with
Yes.
you
Yes.
where they just
Yeah.
want. Now, as my children have gotten older, certain
Yeah.
ones, I notice they want to talk to me more.
Mm,
The
mm,
one who gave
mm.
me the most problems. He called me all the time now. He Uber eating, calling me on and asking me questions. But that's cool. That means that I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
you have done something
I've
and it's
done
now
something
showing
right.
up. It's now showing up.
Yeah.
Like with
Exactly.
me and my parents, we talk almost every day. My mom and I, we talk a long time. My dad and I, we just talk and cut up and laugh, and he can keep you laughing. He's one of those old Caribbean men, 84 years old, but he can have you laughing on the ground.
Yeah.
So I would just talk to him, not just to talk. I just listen. I just call him just to listen to him, to hear him say something. And I see my children, they do the same. When they call me, they say nothing on the phone. They just want to hear my voice. That's about it. They just want to know, Dad, you okay? And then that's it. Yeah, you know, and that's it. And then you talk all the time, and they give you 5 words. because they didn't really call to talk to you. So we have to be patient also with them, and they have to be patient with us, because parenting, we didn't come last week. I think I heard Pastor Paul and Doctor said we didn't come with a manual.
Right.
We came here learning how to be parents.
Yeah. OJT.
Say that again.
On the job training.
On the job training. That's it.
Job training.
Yes, indeed. I tell you. And if we communicate that with them, that listen, we are learning too. As I'm teaching you, I'm learning from you. And let them feel that they have something to offer. And not you alone got all the answers and they don't have any. And I think that's where a lot of children, sometimes they back off and they go talk to someone else. It's dangerous when your child have to leave your space, your world that you create for them, and they're having more deeper and more conversation, more relationship with your neighbor or your uncle or whoever it is. That's bad, because it tells you as a parent is either you failed as a parent to communicate properly, or they're just rebellious. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a bit of both.
I have a question for Dr. Bennett, though. Does that cause, would you say that causes some, post-traumatic stress in children when they're constantly being yelled at and talked to any kind of way? What kind of mental or emotional does that cause?
Well, it can definitely cause PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, because rejection can cause it. Constantly yelling at a child can cause it, because constantly yelling at a child, it causes them to be pushed away, which turns into abandonment, because children feel like you've abandoned them. You don't want to listen. You're pushing me away. That's abandonment. And post-traumatic stress is just for real. And a lot of our children today, that like this 20-something-year-old, we had 2 of them, I think, in 1 week, that just went into a place, started shooting up people all over the place. Another one shot his parents. Then he went to the grocery store. Then he killed himself. These people are suffering from PTSD big time. And
my goodness.
Parents today that have no patience with their children.
My God, yes.
Not had patience. These individuals now are growing up in their 20s, and it's all coming out. And it's really, really something. I mean, my schedule, Dr. Ian, is
my goodness.
The roof.
I could imagine. So you turning over like a whole lot in a day.
Yeah, Saturday. I mean,
wow.
Straight through. And it's really something, because PTSD is on a high rise right now. And it's in our young people. That's where a lot of things are coming into play with children that are killing their parents, killing other people, coming up against the police officers, because PTSD is like a cancer. It can't still. It metastasizes.
My goodness.
It grows, and it starts low, and if it's not maintained, if you don't go to therapy and learn how to maintain that thing, it's going to escalate.
Yes.
Metastasize. And once it metastasizes, you can expect anything from that person.
My goodness. And doctor, I know we have a lot of children based on their environment who live in their head.
Yeah.
They literally live here. Yeah. And every day that's where they are, in their head. And their world is there. And no matter what you try to do, they are definitely rebelling against that particular word or environment or the person or their father, mother, uncle, whoever, because they're up here. Now, how do we get into and what are some ways we can get into their head?
Well, you can get into their head by, first of all, allowing them to vent. You have to allow them to vent, because so a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You let them vent. You have to listen to them and let them vent, no matter how ugly it is. Because if you don't, they'll keep it in, they'll internalize it, and you'll get bits and pieces. And you can't counsel a person or take care of the needs of a person if you're only getting bits and pieces. You want to get down into their head. Once they start to, because it's one thing about a young person, they will come out. I watched this show, The Oval, and this young person, you can, this last therapist on last night, she was trying to get into his head, but see, it's according to what they've been told prior to. A lot of parents take their children to secular counselors that will give them advice that is not right. Such as one client come to me, and the counselor told them that masturbation is a relief. So that child got all caught up into that.
Yeah.
That was in their head.
Yes.
So I had to get down into their head to explain to them what that turns into.
You're right.
Now, you're doing it right now for pleasure, but it's going to take over your life.
Yes.
To wanting to get married and so forth and so on. So, but I had to get into the head of that person to find out exactly what does that make you feel like. What do you think it's doing to? Do you think it's doing anything to any other parts of your body? I said it consoles and comforts one part, but what about other parts? That's getting into their head.
Lady V.
Get into their head by listening to what they say, and then you can take it to the next level.
I totally agree with Dr. Bennett. You know, you the only way you can get into their head, first of all, you got to build a trust. You have to build a trust. You know, because and I was glad that she brought that part out in The Oval. If a young person doesn't trust you, they have to trust you for you to get in their head. You know, you can't come. It goes back to what we said. They're going to read you. Okay. If you try to come in and you're trying to get in their head, and there's anything that they know about you or they can pull out of you, because that's the game. That's the game. You down. So you got to build a trust with them. And he did something on the show because he wanted a response. Sometimes they can do the worst. I used to mentor at the juvenile detention center, and I dealt with a lot of older, kids, young people that were getting ready to go into the regular maximum security prison back when I lived in Texas. And the one thing I would notice, it would be certain things that they would do because they wanted to see how you were going to respond. They wanted to see if they would try you. When you're talking to them, they're doing the most, and they're like, okay, let me see how professional of a counselor you are. Let me see how saved you are. Let me see how mature you are, because they're wanting to see some kind of reaction out of you, because then when you react, then guess what? It justifies their behavior.
Yeah, that's true. Because what they're trying to do, they're trying to get into your head.
So for you to get into their head,
it's the game.
There has to be a trust, because they're gonna try you. They're gonna do something.
Trust me, I know.
Like, okay, you're trying to get in my head. Let me see how this is gonna work.
And they're literally calling you out.
Right, but I like what she did. She got up.
Yep.
She walked out.
Yep.
It's a saying, never let them see you sweat. When I would go up in there and they would do certain things, I would see it. I would see it. And I would be like, well, if you're going to continue with that behavior, not you have to leave, I'm going to have to dismiss myself. Because and that but you don't get out of character. You can't say, well,
reverse psychology.
You got to reverse with getting in the heads of young people. They have to trust you. Because there's so much going on with them. They have to know that whatever they say to you, they can trust you with
Yeah.
the worst. Like some of them may say, you know what? I had sex 20 times in 1 week, or I smoked weed, or I did, and they can't throw you.
Ooh,
You
they
can't
just put it out there. You like what?
they put it out there and they're waiting for you to respond. They're waiting for you to go, oh my God, I can't believe you. No, okay. So how does that smoking that weed make you feel?
Right.
When you come down off your high, is your
Mhm.
problem gone or is it still there? How does that make you feel when you have sex 20 times a day?
Right.
What are you trying? You got to talk to them to get in
Right.
the head. It can't
Yeah.
tell you what they say, but a lot
Right.
of times, and I'm just saying, a lot of times our children can't come to us because we respond, we react.
Right. A
What
wall is there.
is wrong with you? You're doing such
Mm.
and such. You ought to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
knew better, they would do better.
And really and truly, what we are doing, we're trying to protect us,
Yeah.
not them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when we do that, I was on the phone one time years ago with a guy who called and he said to me, "I'm getting ready to kill myself." And know what I asked him? I said, "What size gun you using?" He put the phone down on me. And then he called me back and said, "I'm going to complain to your pastor. I'm telling you, I'm going through a stressful." I said, "I just want to know what kind of gun you're going to use. Because if you're going to kill yourself, you're going to call me."
Yeah.
That's the first thing. So what I did, I sent it right back to him and got him upset. So he dropped the gun, even if he had one. So in that way, like you said, they try to get into your head before you get into theirs. And so they play the game with you. But again, the good thing that parents need to find out, what are the 5 or 6 good things you know about your child?
Right.
5 or 6, and concentrate on the 5 or 6 good things. There might be 10 things and they're failing at 5, but at least they're good at 5.
That's right.
Let's work on the 5 that you're good at, strengthen the 5. So it's like the man that
Right.
was caught on the road Jericho. He was half dead,
Mm-hmm.
but he was half alive.
Yeah.
So the guy worked on the half alive part, and the half dead part came back to life.
Came
And
back
so, yeah. And so if we can look at that and go straight to what is it that they like,
Yeah.
and start working on their likes instead of what you don't like about them. And that can be another way of definitely getting into the head and bridging that gap.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I had an experience like you, Dr. Eon. One of my clients came to me and said, "I want to commit suicide." I said, "Okay, right down the road, there's a lot of 18-wheelers. Just go out, put a blindfold on, and just go get in front of it."
It's not funny, but it is,
It happened real quick. And they said,
Yeah.
"What?" I said, "You want to commit suicide, so I want to help you. I want, you want it to be." He said, "No, that's not what I want to do." Okay, now we can
Right. Right. Let's talk.
Yeah, you're not going to sit here and take up an hour of my time
Yeah.
going over and over that you want to commit suicide. Just go right out there to that road.
Yeah. Let's end this conversation now.
Put a blindfold on and walk right. Just don't even open your. Just go. It'll be quick. They said, "Oh my goodness, you
Celebrate. Yeah.
a therapist." I said, "No, I'm telling you how to do it quickly."
End the situation, end the pain, end the pain, end the pain, end the pain. The reward system is good. I
Yeah.
like the reward system, Dr. Bennett. And if we can do little rewards here and there, and instead of them, because some kids come home with their reports and their parents don't look at it.
No, don't even look
And
at it.
they're trying to tell them that I made, or some of them hide because they know that they didn't do well. Whether they do well or not, just let them have a reward for something, at least for effort,
That's right.
and do something for them, and don't just reward them for anything, but make sure that when you reward them, they understand why you did it. Because a lot of children get rewards and they don't even know why.
That's true.
And so they will use that against you, and they will put pressure on you to do things that you are not able, able to do it, or you can't afford to do it. And then you find yourself in a bind. So
Yeah.
look at 5, 6, 7 things and see what they have that you
Right.
can work with, and that would be good. Lady
And
V.
compliment them,
Compliment,
praise them,
right.
praise them. Praise is good. We spend a lot of time telling our young people what they don't do.
Yes.
And
Right.
even the thing is, even when they are expressing, they don't know how they want to look. Some of them get off into the different hairstyles or whatever. There's so many things that you can do to turn the negative into the positive.
Mm.
Let them know, oh, you look really pretty today. Oh, okay, you colored your hair. Oh, that's different. That looks pretty good. Because sometimes it's easier for us to lean to the negative than it is to
Mm.
lean to
Mhm.
the positive.
Mhm.
So, like
Mhm.
you said, we got to look at the positive things and bring them out in them so that they're not on guard. Because a lot of times, young people are on guard because they think we're going to say something, and
Mm.
their parents may be. I remember my first time going to Baltimore, and they was doing some type of thing that they were having, and the young people it was a whole group of them that looked real different. I'm gonna use the word different, and I don't know what that thing that they were doing, but they all would dress so different, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, okay, all right. It so threw me because they were extremely different, but
Uh-huh.
the same time, you can't let them throw you because there was times where I'm sure we dressed a certain way,
Mhm.
Mhm.
certain things, and
Mm.
somebody had to overlook and not
Yeah.
pay close attention to our hair and our dress and focus on the character, focus on building the character because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was something that Dr. Bennett said. We were in a conference, and she said, "You have to, in order to fry the fish, you got to catch the fish."
Hmm.
So
Right.
we're trying to develop, but we haven't even reached them yet. I can't teach
Mm.
if I can't reach them. You know,
Right.
so sometimes when you're reaching them, you have to overlook some things from the beginning.
Mm.
You're not going
Yep.
to you can't pay close attention to what's really going on.
Mm.
Okay, they high. Uh, what am I gonna do? Not love on you because you high right now? No, I'm gonna have to still hug you in
Right.
the state of mind that you're in and love on you to the place where the love draws you. You
Right.
can't
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
obvious is. So I think
Mm.
sometimes we have to be the more mature ones. Why
Yeah.
that shirt or those pants? Like, we see what we see. We're common sense people. We see them all the time. We do.
So sorry is not a bad word, you know.
Yeah.
No.
Is a word. It's not a bad word. It's a
No, it's not a
word.
bad word.
And also, no is not a bad word. It's just a
That's
word.
right.
But sometimes we are afraid to use those, especially in the Christian realm.
Yes.
We stay away from no. No is the most anointed word in the body of
That's
Christ.
right. Amen. Amen.
And sorry as well. And if we can take time and just say, sorry, man, I went overboard here with it and I want to sit down. Let me talk to you.
Mhm.
Go somewhere outside the house and just talk to them and say, listen, man, I went off. I was wrong.
Right.
But that does not take away you being parent. They just want to make sure that you are real.
Right.
And you are not this, this big wheel up there and you're so bored.
Mm.
Anyhow, we are almost out of time, but never out of conversation. And I know that we have at least 2 minutes more, or 1 minute. And within the 1 minute, I would like to ask everyone to give their last final closing thoughts before we bring this to a conclusion.
My closing thought would be to be loving and kind towards towards young people, whether they're your children or someone else's children. And most of all, build that trust up in them that they can come to you with anything without you being so judgmental. Because when that judgmental thing comes across, children, young people, they run away from you. They won't even come to
Mhm.
your space. So make sure you keep the door open for your
Yeah.
children, for your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, other people's children. Keep that door open. But most of all, live the life.
Oh, my.
I'm gonna say
Let
keep it real. Keep it real.
Keep it real. Keep it
Keep it
real.
real. You bridge the gap when you keep it real. Don't let what young people do throw you. You keep it real
Mm-mm.
with them.
Yeah.
They'll keep it real with you, and
Yep.
that bridges the gap.
Yes, and also just make sure that you're transparent and you are not just reliable, but you are also sincere.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Love. Love.
Listen, you have been tuned in for the last hour to Kingdom Empowerment International. I'm your co-host. Our host, Dr. Tito Paul, is not here. Pastor Tito Paul, he's not here right now, but we are standing in for him. Thank you, Lady V. Thank you, Dr. Bennett. And we're looking forward for next Wednesday, same time, at another Kingdom Empowerment. God bless you all.